It's 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of TAXITV Live. Woohoo! There we go. All right, you guys finally got that working, and welcome to the big show. I am super excited this week to welcome the band Indre from Akron, Ohio. Hello, ladies and gents. On our right, we have Maddie, and next to her, her brother Angelo. And I actually met Maddie at the road rally a few weeks ago. She came up to the stage after I finished a paneling and kind of quietly said, "Hi, my name's Maddie. My brother and I are here from Akron, Ohio. We're in a band called Indre, and just wanted to let you know that we're really enjoying the road rally." And I said, "Thanks, really glad you guys came." And she gave me a little round business card with their name on it. And that night I got up to my room, my hotel room, and I was hanging up my shirt, and I pulled out the little card and I went, "Oh yeah, I should check them out," which honestly I rarely, if ever, do. Certainly during the road rally, because I just get a ton of stuff and check it out after. But I went online and checked out the band and went, they are doing so much right. I'm really proud of these guys. And just double checking the chat room to make sure that everybody's got me. Anyway, they're getting so much right. And I thought, I get people that walk up to me all the time at the rally and go, "How do I get a manager? How do I get a manager?" And honestly, I have mixed feelings about that. But, this band is a band that someday a big manager will come calling for. And I believe a major label will come calling for them. So I am here to interview them today so that you guys can see what it takes as a DIY band to get to the point where the public loves you, you build a fan base, and the major labels and management come after you. So hello again, and thanks for doing this.
Hello.
Michael.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm excited that you could join me. And I thought, as I started watching your videos, I said, I know these guys are doing this stuff DIY, but they're getting so much right. And I will ask you about that later, because the videos are pretty darn high quality for what I'm guessing was done on a shoestring budget. So I want to hear about that. And I know that, Maddie, you started out as a singer-songwriter, as a solo act, 6 or 7 years ago, I think. How long did you do that? And at what point did you decide that you wanted to form a band?
Well, I started when I was like 15, 16. I just played the coffee shops and I started writing songs and I loved it. And I went to Kent State for a year and I just decided I was I really want to make this a band because I like rock music. It's my favorite. And I just wanted more energy, and it's hard to, have that kind of energy with just my guitar, and me by myself. So I asked my brother if he wanted to do it with me, and he said yes. And then we got a band together, and we've been playing all over. And so I did it for I want to say 3 years alone, and then I started the band.
Yeah, we actually just had our 3-year anniversary over the holiday.
Oh, very cool. So I've got to ask you, how do you get other people to join a band? Do you have a phone that I keep hearing go bleep bleep? Or is that on my end? Or it's on your computer maybe?
That might be my end.
It's on him.
I can fix that up. I'll work on it.
All right. If you would, please. So what do? Want to go on the road for months at a time, not see your family or friends, live in a converted bus, play some shows where there are more people on the stage than there are in the audience, eat a lot of top ramen? What was your pitch to get the other people to join the band?
Oh, I just said it would be fun. And it has been fun.
All right.
It's it is a lot. It's a lot of work, but I don't know. It's I don't want to do anything else. And I know it takes that to, grow. You have to, play to empty rooms sometimes and sleep on floors. So we're doing that sometimes, So and we're having a great time.
What do you guys do when you're on the road? First of all, I looked at your tour schedule, your past shows, and mind blowing how many shows. And I know that you booked the shows yourself, so I want to ask you about that in a little bit. But so when you guys are out on tour, you're not staying at like a Marriott or a Hilton. Tell me about touring life. Where do you stay? Do you make enough money from the shows to sustain the touring? All that stuff.
Yeah, so this last tour so we've done a lot of regional runs, like New York City, Nashville, Chicago. This summer we did our first national tour, and I booked it. And so like how we do that, we use this app called Couchsurfers. We're not making hotel money yet. So Couchsurfers is, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's kind of like Airbnb, but it's free. And, the thing is, like, your host wants to spend time with you. And it's really cool. They usually come to the show, and we make new friends, like, every single night and sleep on their couches. And it's, like, a really cool community. It's this whole other layer of DIY touring that I just didn't know that we were going to get to experience. And then we did, and it's like really cool. It's one of my favorite parts. So that's how we the accommodations, like where we land for the night. Sometimes we sleep on the bus. Sometimes.
Very seldom.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to sleep on that bus, but we do sometimes. And the shows get us from place to place, gas tank wise. We're able to feed ourselves. We shop together. We cook together. And yeah, like it's growing. This past tour, that was the experience. This next tour, we just met this guy named Sky. He's great. He works for Clear Productions. He's now our booking agent. And he got us on the road with this band called The Happies. So that starts in March. We're doing 4 weeks on the road with them. The tour itself is 2 months long. So we're 4 weeks on our own, and then 4 weeks supporting them. So the shows will be bigger, some of them, and it'll be really fun. It's just we're going to keep on going at it and growing. And yeah, I rambled. Sorry.
No, that's okay. We've got 90 minutes. You can ramble whenever you want. It's not like this is professional TV. It's TAXITV. So how did you put the funds together to do that first tour? I mean, I'm assuming there are 5 of you in the band, right? Or 4?
Yeah. There's 5 of us.
5. Okay. So first of all, I mean, everybody's got to okay, for the next couple of months, we're not working. We don't have an income. How do you convince people to join a band where you're chasing the dream, going on the road, but you're giving up your income and you're going to be couch surfing? And yes, I believe you. Sounds like fun, except for the couch surfing part, because I don't know. I like hotel rooms. What can I say? But yeah, I mean, what happens if the person hosting you for couch surfing is like an axe murderer or something? That just went really dark.
Well, luckily, we have only had
We've
one
dodged the
bad
axe murderers
experience.
for the most part.
For the most part?
We've had 49 fantastic experiences.
It's like a 95% success rate, 98.
They have reviews and background checks.
Oh,
and,
good.
We have judgment. And if we've never had to really leave other than one time. But, you just leave.
Right.
And then you're fine.
Do you bring bear spray with you?
100%. For bears, too. You never know. So we on this last tour, and we ran into some wildlife. It was crazy.
We did, yeah. We almost got attacked by a deer on our last tour.
It was a deer. This is so not related. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But
I've actually got a recording of a guy being attacked in a phone booth by a deer from 35, 40 years ago. A guy was literally in a phone booth, and a deer came up and barged its way into the phone booth, standing on its hind legs, and was hoofing him to death. It was awesome. Okay, so you again, how did everybody just walk away from your life, your jobs? I mean,
well, it's definitely an alternative lifestyle. I think, in the music industry today, unless you're really, really lucky, for the good portion of it, the beginning, you're going to be, DIY, making a lot of sacrifices to do what you love. And I think that's what it really comes down to. Like, we're lucky to have people that really love it, like, and want to grow it, and, understand that it takes eating ramen sometimes, and like our guitar player quit his full-time job to do this and just completely changed so much about his life. And him and I do like different remote jobs. That's how we do it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a yoga teacher in between tours, and I can teach online too. And yeah, we save up in between tours, and then we just go. And it's different. You make sacrifices, but it's so worth it because we get to play music all the time, and
Yeah.
it's growing. So
You never get anywhere in life without making sacrifices. So, and it was obvious to me when I checked you guys out that night at the beautiful Westin Hotel during the road rally that you guys were doing all the right stuff. What is your job that you can do remotely, Angelo?
So I did finish school here in town at Akron University, and I got my degree in computer science. So whenever we have off seasons, I take contract work. I've got some friends at school who do startups and stuff, and
Oh, cool.
it's enough to at least support me while I'm living at home. I'm not making a ton of money off that. Like, I just try and compartmentalize, work here on the side, and then focus on touring when it's touring time.
Yeah. And I remember that Maddie told me that you guys are like best friends. Is it hard being Angelo, can you scoot to your left, get a little closer to Maddie? You're coming a little bit out of frame there. See that? Because you're best friends. So is it good? There you go. Is it good having a sibling in a band together? Or do you bring family issues into the band? How does that work?
no, it's wonderful.
He asked me.
He asked you?
Yeah, he asked
Yeah.
me.
Oh, sorry.
It's great. Sometimes she hogs us. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I love him.
We have a very rock solid support system with each other, and we have a telepathic sense of humor. So long bus rides go by very quickly when we're sitting next to each other. And that translates to on stage too. We have a good time together when we're performing. As with any family, there's always going to be times where you're on each other's nerves, but that goes for the other band members too. So it's pretty much a great situation overall.
Yeah.
And I'm
it's
guessing that
wonderful.
you guys are in your early to mid 20s. So are your parents as supportive of you both as you are of each other?
Yes. Our parents are really supportive.
That's great. Yeah, it would be a bummer to be out on the road working your butt off for something that you believe in so deeply and having your family like, you kids are crazy. Yeah, my parents were not fans of me working in the studio. They thought I was working in like dingy dungeons with a bunch of heroin addicts. And I said, no, it's a really nice place. And half the people are not heroin addicts. So it's okay, Mom and Dad. They got over it. So what is the ultimate goal for you guys?
Well, I just, we're working on an album right now, and I'm like really proud of the songs, and I can't wait. That's what's next. Like we're touring a ton next year. Our first tour starts in March 8th, and it runs through May 5th.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the album, and then go play more shows. We're touring a ton next year. But down the road, I want this to, sustain everybody in the band financially, and just be able to do it and not really have to worry about doing anything else. I think that, and I want to do more traveling. Like, I want to play in another country. That's a goal of mine.
Yeah.
Travel.
What's the
How about
ultimate
you?
goal? I mean, do you guys, are you working toward being a giant hit band? Or are you taking it one day at a time? What's the big picture?
Are we working on doing what?
Being
What'd you say?
a household name, being a band that everybody knows and that millions love. I mean, obviously everybody, all musicians want that. Are you
Of course we want.
okay? And
That would be.
I looked at your tour schedule from last year, and you guys were playing, I don't know, three, four, sometimes maybe even five shows in a week, which is a lot for a baby band that's just starting out to doing it all yourself. That's a lot. How did you book all those shows?
How did what? Sorry.
How
You're kind of like echoing a little.
Oh, okay.
I
Sorry
just
about
wanted
that.
to.
How did you book all those
No, it's
shows?
well. I I really bugged a lot of people. I called and called and called, and I just like I emailed. It's like the first thing I did. I had templates. Depending on the kind of venue, if it was like a concert club, if it was a pub, if it was, you know, a big fish venue and I was submitting to open for someone, I had like three different templates, um, like that, introduced us, and I would like tweak them for each single pitch to like, I don't know, make it more personal. But also it was a template because I had a lot of emails to send. Um, and I would do that first, and then I would follow up, and then I'd follow up again, and then I would call, and I would just do it until people said yes. And it's like that's how I went about reaching out to people. But as far as routing, I had anchor dates. Like I had, where we started, where we wanted to end up halfway through, where we, in between spot, and then on the way, like I had like maybe 4 to 6 anchor dates, and then I would just fill in between the dates. And it worked out. It worked out. I had like little goals every week to keep myself like on track to do it. It took me, I want to say 3 months to book that.
How many shows did you do in that tour?
19.
All
19 in a
right.
month.
And so when you would send a couple of emails, and I think it was great that you used templates and you recognize not all venues are the same, so you had templates for different kinds of venues. How did you find out who the person was at the venue that you needed? Who was the decider, and how did you get their email and their phone number?
Well, a lot of times the website itself has a booking, which you fill that out. But I would always go on Facebook too and look at the email address on the Facebook page because oftentimes that was a direct contact to somebody doing the booking. So I did that. That's what I did.
Sounds smart. There had to be on any given day 20 other bands that were reaching out to that same person. So why do you think it is that they responded to you versus the other 19?
I think persistence, just keep on reaching out and then they check you out. And I think we sound pretty good. And it's like as long as you can get them to click on it, then it works, I think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you guys are a pop rock band. You have a very commercial sound, and you sound like yourself, which is really important. You know, there's always been a problem in the professional side of the music industry when somebody hears an act and they go, "Yeah, I like them," but they sound like, and they mention another act. Nobody wants somebody that's completely derivative. It's okay to be derivative of 3 or 4 or 5 things that are amalgamated into one thing that sounds unique enough and original enough, but nobody wants a sound alike. So I think you guys have done that really, really well. Listening to your stuff, first of all, you write well for your voice, which is important, and you seem to know who you are as an artist. And I've noticed that Angelo
Thank
co-writes
you.
with you sometimes. You're welcome. And so I was wondering, what's your process for writing? Talk about both when you write by yourself or when you and Angelo write together. Is it music first, lyric second? Is it lyric first, music second? How does it all come together?
So as of now, like so far, I've written I've kind of written most of the songs. Like I'll start with words usually. I free write a lot. Like I'll just, if I'm feeling something really sad, really angry, really happy, I'll just write all the time. And sometimes I'll recognize like a phrase that could fit in a song that just sounds like catchy, and I'll highlight it in my notebook. And then I sit down with a guitar and I put it together like a puzzle. Like I kind of get an idea for a song and then go back through my notebook or my notes on my phone or my voice memo on my phone and kind of just like put the phrases together and then fill in. That's kind of my process. When we co-write, like, so Angelo is really theory based. He took piano lessons for years. I did not. I am very sing-songy, don't know the names of the chords I'm playing, just know that I'm playing chords. And so I feel like I have limits sometimes, and he makes things more interesting. And so if I'm like, this could be better, I'll send it to him and I'll be like, just, come up with a different chord progression or a riff that drives the whole thing. And then he'll send me something back. And that's how we co-write together.
Cool. Have you crafted your identity as an artist, or did it just come out that way and you went, sounds like me?
I think it was when I was a solo artist, I think I sounded really folky. Because, I was just alone with a guitar. And I knew I wanted more energy. And I don't know, as I kind of became more confident as I grew up, like grew into the artist that we are now, I feel like I'm like, we're on to it. Like, I just feel like what the music we're making now is like exactly what I want to sound like, what we want to sound like, and just the energy. Like, I'm really happy with where we're at. And I think that it wasn't always like that. Like, I think before I lacked a lot of confidence and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to sound like. And then the band started and I was like, okay, it's going to be a rock band. And that's kind of how that happened.
I think that was a good choice. Your musical identity, like I said, suits your voice really, really well. You've got quite a range and you're not afraid to use it, and you use it in kind of a quirky way that is a little bit of a signature. So
Thanks.
yay on all that stuff. Angelo, when Maddie hands something to you and says, hey, I've been messing around with this, and you bust out your theory, what do you do to make it more interesting?
You know what? I don't feel like my process is really as well developed as hers is. As a writer and an artist, I feel like she's got more experience on me. And despite being part of this project for the last 3 years, this right now feels like we're really starting the era of doing the nitty gritty and like figuring out what it's going to look like to actually work together and have that be the aim all the time. In the past, like the one co-write that we have established so far is Passenger Side, and my contribution to that song came across very organically, just in a group writing session where the whole band was together and Maddie had brought the lyrics and the melody and played just over like A major throughout the entire song, and it was
Boring.
it was a little boring. Like the drummer at the time had even kind of thought that the song was going to be a dud, and he didn't really want to work with it. But we just like messed around and like tried to come up with things on the fly, on the spot, around other people, which is difficult. And I'd honestly say I feel like I got lucky in that situation. But I'm trying to hone in on where that comes from so that I can do it more consistently, I guess.
Liz just posted the link for the YouTube video of Passenger Side, which I listened to twice earlier today, and I love that song, and I think it's a great example of something that started out as nothing but A major got worked into a full song. And it's also a really good showcase for Maddie's voice doing the high-low thing that she does so well. It's got great energy. It's a lot of fun. It's actually got a message, and the video is great. So talk to me about the videos that you guys do, because they're quite impressive. I mean, I know you guys aren't throwing $50,000 or $100,000 at a video. How much cash do you think you spend per video?
So I think we're going to answer this question in two parts because we have two different styles of videos that we do. I'll talk about the first one because the first one is we work with a videographer named Pete Campbell, and his company is called Claymore Pictures. He's amazing. Me and him have teamed up on kind of the higher quality stuff because his crew comes in and we do most things in-house. Like I get the costumes together, I make the props, I help produce, I get all the extras, I get, and he manages the crew, and we collaborate on, usually I bring the concept of the video and he brings the creative way to film it or record it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we collaborate there. And that's so as far as a budget for that, we are really lucky to have a nice executive producer and great friend. The budget for those videos usually runs around $5,000, and we're able to get all of that done. And our friend Ken Robinson has helped, and he's been really generous, and we've been able to make some really cool stuff. And Pete's crew also is just like, it's just great to work with them, and they're wonderful. And those are always really fun days, like to make those videos. It's a stressful week. It's like a wedding. I don't know what it's like to plan a wedding or be in a wedding, but there's just so many moving parts. Like when you're managing a crew, extras, costumes, the band, making sure everyone knows their call times. It is an entirely different hat to wear and like put on that day. But it's so fun. And then Angelo has made some really cool DIY stuff. You talk about it.
So yes, it's definitely, we have in our library videos two distinct types, and there's the one where we have a production crew through Maddie's friend Pete, and some funding from like personal friends of ours. And other times we've done just very independent do-it-yourself videos where we borrow a really small handheld camera from Pete and tear my dad's garage apart and set up some like really cheap props. The budget for those types of videos, we got a couple of them out there now. I think we've spent like no more than $200 on Shadow, Euphoria, and the other one was.
Talk about Shadow.
Yeah, so I've directed 2 DIY videos, the most recent of which is called Shadow, and I remember when the song was just a little baby inkling idea, having the inspiration for the video concept just based on the title and the lyrical content of the song, where I was going to use what's called a zoetrope, which is kind of like a shadow casting device if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's the round thing with slits in it, right? Cool.
Yeah. So I remember one day I was just working on a school project and it was not making me very happy. So I instead decided to focus on something that gave me a little bit more serotonin, which was coming up with the video concept. And I had it in my head that the band would be on the inside of the contraption. And so I kind of did, as an inexperienced person trying to make a blueprint would do, just sketched in my notebook a big beach umbrella with construction paper hanging down from it with equally spaced slits so it can turn in front of the camera, set all that up in the garage, and it's just a very like guerrilla type of setup where we're just going at it and trying to do it on a budget. And we're really happy with the finished product, even though maybe it doesn't quite hold up in quality to the production crew versions.
It looks pretty great. You did such a good job on that.
The A-roll looks great. Have you seen that B-roll?
I watched that one earlier today, and equally impressive. I'm telling you, you guys are classic DIY. A really dear friend of mine is a gentleman named Tony Van Veen. He's the CEO of Disc Makers, and for about 10 years he was also the CEO of CD Baby, and we probably met 30 years ago. And whenever we talk, he's on the other coast, but we talk pretty frequently, and we talk about DIY acts all the time because there in that side of the business, and Taxi's mostly in the music licensing side of the business, although we do have a lot of listings for labels and such. But he and I, and Rob Shirelli is my closest friend, Rob being a 5-time Grammy-winning mixer producer. That's what we talk about when we get together. We talk about what is the difference between acts that make it and acts that don't. And everybody's got the desire. I just want to get my music out there. I just want to share my music. I want to share my musical soul. They have all these kind of nondescript, not very focused things, but when it comes time to doing the work, most people won't, because it's painful and it's hard and you have to hit deadlines and you have to actually do it. And that's what blew me away about you guys. When I saw the tour schedule, I went, okay, this did not happen by accident. And I think, Maddie, when you came up to me at the rally, or maybe in a follow-up phone call at some point early in our relationship, whatever this is, in our professional relationship, you mentioned the fact that you did all the booking. And I was really amazed by that, because twice in my career I have temporarily managed major label bands because they couldn't find a manager they liked, and they asked myself and my then business partner to fill in. So I know what it's like. And to do it on your own when you haven't done it for anybody else and you don't have somebody to teach it to you, how did you learn what the steps were? How did you figure out that you needed templates? How did you force yourself to sit down every day and send out dozens of emails? How did, that stuff doesn't happen by accident. How did it happen for you?
Well, I just really wanted to do it. I was like, well,
it's true. She's very uninhibited. Like, lots of people, I feel like, in my personal sphere of people that I know, would never just like put the time in to do it, But I don't know, Maddie's just never felt like it wasn't going to happen, From the day that I joined the band, she's like just kind of.
Well, I guess I was just like, well, why can't we? I was like, well, I mean, I had experience booking us regional stuff, and it was a learning curve. Like, I sent pitches that just didn't land, and I learned
some busts of shows.
Yeah, and I just had like a year and a half of that under my belt, and then I was like, national tour. Let's just go for it. Let's just try it. Yeah. And then I just started. I just started. And I remember it was just such a rush to land something, to get a gig. It was so cool when someone said, yeah, you can play. And I was like, okay. And then it was just encouragement, keep on booking it, Yeah. And, I'd get days where it's no, next time, but not now. And that was kind of like, you just kind of start to just whatever. And then you just keep on going.
That's a great attitude, because same thing would apply to people in music licensing. You've got to kiss a bunch of frogs before you find the prince, figuratively speaking. And the fact that you weren't deterred by lack of success, good on you. Is there any sort of division of labor elsewhere in the band, or are you the de facto manager and everybody else's job is like from, driving the bus? And yeah, I want to talk about the bus, driving the bus, unloading and loading equipment and getting the stage set up, and then of course performing. Are you doing the majority of all the other stuff, Maddie?
I would say so. I would say the band, I wear the band hat, the video hat. Angelo wears that hat sometimes.
We trade it.
However,
share it.
I am not a mechanic. Angelo has fixed our bus. We broke down 5 times on that tour.
Yeah.
And
tough days. Really
Angelo,
tough days.
We never missed a show though because of him.
Wow.
Like, he knows how to.
I serviced our Chevy Express 3500 in an O'Reilly parking lot on more than one occasion.
How long ago did you buy the bus? Tell us about it, and how much did you pay for it?
We bought it like
So-
2 weeks before we left.
Yeah, it was real crunch time. So like what happened, we did a fundraiser and we did a fundraising show. Like we were like, well, we have a bunch of new music, so we're just going to, we did a fundraiser and the rule was you can donate any amount, like $1, $500, anything you want, and you get a ticket to this concert. And the concert was an event. We played all new music live. We showed new videos, new demos, stuff we were working on. It was like a sneak peek kind of thing, very Kickstarter-esque. I don't know if you've heard of Kickstarter. It's
Of
like
course.
it's like GoFundMe, but
I may be old,
Yeah,
but I'm
okay.
not ancient.
I didn't know. I didn't know
I
if you knew what that was, but like, it was very much like that. But we used GoFundMe, just because Kickstarter makes you give it back if you don't reach your goal. GoFundMe
Right.
does not. And I wasn't sure if we would reach our goal. I didn't know.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What was your
And so
goal?
we put on this. Our goal $10,000.
And did you spend all of that on the bus?
We raised 5,000, and we spent
Seven.
4,000 on the bus, and then we had some money for repairs because it needed some work. And
You should see it. It's quite a.
I
It
noticed
says
that
caution
it's got
short-
like duct tape around the skylight in the ceiling. I love that.
it leaks when it rains. It beeps when it backs up. It's
That's cool.
pretty fun, and it gets us everywhere.
How many miles does it have?
So it had 115,000 on it when we bought it, but we did just go around the country. So now it has
125.
125.
Yeah.
It's like
Not so
that's
bad.
why we bought it,
What year is it?
because we're gonna drive it.
2003.
2003.
Okay. So not that old. And I'm sure you guys have seen the movie Almost Famous, right?
Yeah.
Of
Have you
course.
seen that?
I think I have.
Mhm.
I mean, that should be like your movie that you should watch on the road every night. And do
Every
you,
night.
I've noticed that you repeat clubs, which is good. I've always had a theory of doing concentric circles for touring. You start in your hometown, then you go out 25 miles and 50 miles and 100 miles, and you keep going back to the same clubs without, oversaturating them and stuff. When you go back to the same clubs, are you starting to see that, like your super fans are bringing their friends and you're getting bigger audiences at the same clubs?
Yeah, definitely. One of the coolest experiences ever. So Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, like that
Yeah.
town, that's one of my favorite places to play because it was the first town that wasn't our hometown that like we built a significant fan base in. Like every time we go there, that it's packed room, everyone's singing the words, and we're just like, at first it was just like, how did we impact this town? What is it about us and Virginia Tech? But we're really grateful for it, and we've noticed that has happened to other towns too, and it's really cool to see.
Well, what do you think it is?
That was like the first that
why,
one. So
well, why do they love you?
music.
Huh?
Yeah, demographic.
I think it's the type of music they like. I think it's a rock and roll town. Like there's a lot of rock bands in that town.
I think the venue's a good part of it too.
The Milk Parlor is
It's
a
the
great
coolest
vibe.
spot right off campus.
Mhm.
So everybody who's going to school at Virginia Tech knows if they want to see live music, they got to go to Milk Parlor Mondays.
And do
Yeah.
you guys do any covers or do you do all originals all the time?
We play covers. We covered Dreams by the Cranberries. That's
Mhm.
like the one cover that's like a staple in our set. Like we always cover that one because it's just fun and I like to sing it. And then sometimes we do play longer sets just for extra money because sometimes pub shows play better than like an original show in a town where we've never been.
Mhm.
Like a percentage of the door sometimes is not as great of a deal as like taking a flat rate at a pub. And at the pub, they want covers. So we do that sometimes for sure.
Weekends
If
and-
you don't If you don't mind me asking, what is a typical flat rate that you would get for a pub gig?
For a 3-hour set, it can go around from 500 to 800
Okay.
for a pub 3-hour
So
set.
not terrible. And if you do a couple of those or a few of those a week, it's enough to buy gas and top ramen, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a regular work schedule? Like, when you're on the road, let's say you did a show last night and, excuse me, now you've woken up from the couch and you've had some coffee and you're out the door and you've got to drive 120 miles to your next gig. As soon as you get in the bus, do you start a work day? Do you have any sort of routine and schedule and like a to-do list for every day?
It varies. I mean, we're all different. Everyone does different kind of work. A lot of times what we'll do, we'll make a point to go. This also works for like time away from each other. We'll go into a town, or we'll make sure we arrive to the next town we're playing in like a few hours early, so that so and so can go to the coffee shop and work on their laptop, or so and so can go to the gym. Like that's kind of how we do our work. We like stop in the town, and it's nice alone time too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be tough being with a group of 5 people. You're one of 5 people every day for a couple or a few months at a time, and you're away from, relationships, I guess. I mean, obviously you're away from your parents and your friends at home, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, and wives. Does that take a toll on the band where it's like, this is fun, guys, but I really miss my girlfriend and we want to get married soon. So love you, but I'm out. Go find yourself another bass player, drummer, guitarist, whatever. Does that stuff happen? Has it happened?
Yeah, definitely. We're going through a little bit of a lineup change right now, actually. It's just part of it, like we've had people come and go. Ange and I are always in this, it's brother sister band.
Right.
But I mean, and it is what it is, the show goes on, and it's great because the energy's revived and we keep going. Our guitar player Chris has been with us for a long time. He's really great. We love Chris. Yeah. I mean, it's like people do miss their girlfriends, miss their boyfriends. It happens.
I get homesick sometimes too. Like it's cool too because when we were on the road in August for our full month-long tour, that was whenever I felt like the most inspired to create, because like we're just out there and we're doing it, and you can see like how much it's going to evolve and what the potential is whenever you're actually out there across the country doing it. And nothing felt like worse than having all of that motivation and like no means to create from my little bus seat.
Yeah.
I'd crave to be back home where we can actually like do writing. So that's why I'm excited. I'm excited to have like a phase of things where we're on tour and then we're home for writing season, and then it's touring season and writing season, and the back and forth is going to be important.
It's nice to have seasons like that. I agree. It's cool because like, I mean, you have to have time to process everything cool that you've just done and then write about it. So it's cool to have like an off season, kind of,
No, I totally get it. Back in my studio days, I always saw bands come in and really struggle when they did their sophomore album. If they were lucky enough to come out of the gate and have a hit on the first album, which was rare, but it did happen. And they would go out and tour to support the first record, but they were so busy touring, and now they've got a publicist and a manager and an agent and a lawyer and the whole team of people that keeps them busy all the time. And they know they've got 4 months off and they've got to go make an album, and they realize they don't have any material. They had 5 or 10 years to write the first album, and now they have 4 months to write the second album. So I've seen that pressure, and yeah, enjoy those seasons while you can. Let's talk about marketing, Maddie. it sounds like you're the person that does that stuff. So, social media. I mean, clearly your generation has mastered social media. Is there one form of social media that you find is best for getting butts? Well, I was going to say butts and chairs at the shows. Is there one form of social that gets people out to shows, whether they're sitting or standing?
I would say Instagram and Facebook for sure. TikTok's great to get people to listen to your music, but I think to get people at specific shows in certain towns, Instagram and Facebook are really great because you can do targeted ads, and that helped. We did that on this past tour, and it worked pretty well. We had people. I would ask. I was like, "How'd you find out?" And they're like, "Oh, we saw the ad," and it worked.
So targeting your ad, so you look for 18 to 30 demographic, let's say in Chillicothe, Ohio, or wherever the town is, and you can zero in on that specific thing, or can you target getting more specific, like people who've gone to this particular club before? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, there's a really great TikTok video by this creator, this content creator. His name is Bacon Bits. His real name is Matt. But he does a lot of like music content, and he has a video that specifically instructs you how to set up a targeted ad to get people at shows. And it's interesting because of course you can target the age group, you can target the location, and you want to make sure that you don't oversaturate it. So like you want to be really specific and niche there, and like you also want to write down like bands that you sound like or that are in your genre. Like I usually include about 5 of those. I pick like 5, like I don't know, current, like Paramore, Miley Cyrus, Blink 182. There's a punk aspect to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Just I usually pick 3 to 5 of those, and it'll tell you like how well it thinks it's gonna do. So it gives you a prediction, and then
are the predictions somewhat accurate?
I would say so. The engagement I've checked, it has been pretty, and like people have shown up, and it has worked.
Sorry, I cut you off. You were about to elaborate, and now I can't remember what you were going to elaborate on.
Oh, you're good. It just basically told me how to set it up, and it was interesting, and it worked. It was like interesting to just try it out and then see it work.
So do you have to then, let's say you get on the bus the morning after a show, and you've got 2 days before your next show, and you're going 150 miles to get to that show. Is that when you do the work of, do you have connectivity so that you can do that work on the road in the bus, and that's when you start looking at some analytics for the ads, and how far in advance of the shows do you run the ads, and when do you place them?
I set up ads about a month before the show.
Oh wow.
I find that works pretty good within our budget. I usually so there's 2 ways you can do it. You can throw like a certain amount of dollars per day at the ad, or you can do like a smart click the when people are most active, and say you want to spend $30 total on the ad, and it'll distribute that $30. Like it'll run it at times when people are most active in that area, and then it's like that's how I do it. I do a flat. I don't want to spend more than $20-$30 on the ad, and then I click the button that says it's only going to run the ad and spend money when people are online, and then I check the analytics about a week before the show just to see how it's doing, and then I compare it to the pre-sales.
Like a game.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried like doubling or tripling your ad spend just as an experiment to see if you get 2 or 3x on the number of people that show up?
I haven't. To be honest, it hasn't been within our budget. That's why. But I'd love to try that.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very curious if, $30 is your spend for a show, and especially in a market that you've been to before, and you know that you spent $30 and you got, 100 people out to the show, just pulling a number out of thin air. The next time you go back, what if you doubled it? If you spent $60, would you get 200 people at the show? Anyway, yeah, I'm a marketing nut. I've read hundreds of marketing books and I love it. Some people read romance novels. I read marketing books. And
I feel like I'm totally winging it. Like I watched a TikTok video. I am not an expert. I just tried.
But you're becoming an expert from doing it, And okay, so I'm looking through my questions to see if there's anything that I haven't asked on this general subject. You mentioned that you got an agent for this upcoming tour, and that some of the shows are booked as the opener for the Happies and some are solo gigs. How did you get the agent?
So we met Sky at a show. So I actually booked a show with Sky. He was booking for this venue in Eugene, Oregon called World Pies. It's a pizza place with like this giant stage. It was really cool. And he booked us, and I worked with him to get the show, and he came to the show, and he was like, wow, I really like you guys. And we hit it off. We all met him, and he was like, I work for Clear Productions. I am looking to pick up another band. He said, let me book a tour for you and see, we try each other out. And then we'll, maybe we can do something, make it more like I become your permanent agent.
Right.
And it's been great. Right off the bat, he got us a direct support slot opening up for the Happies for 4 weeks. I'm like, yeah, be our agent. That's great. So that's how we met.
Wow, that's great, because it's tough. Like I said, the two occasions that I've managed a major label band for 6 months or a year as a temporary manager until they found something better or somebody better, it was really hard. Even when you're signed to a major label and you've gotten an advance from the label and you've gotten an advance from a big publisher, publishers don't want to sign you as a band until you've got a label deal. And it used to be because they pressed vinyl or they pressed CDs, and they knew that they would make their investment back on the mechanical royalties from just numbers of units sold. But it was really hard, even though these acts had a record deal, getting an agent to book them as the opening act for even a mid-sized baby band, somebody that had one successful record, and was maybe getting ready to release their second album and going out on a more formalized tour, more professionally run tour, trying to get on one of those and be the opening act at 1,000 to 2,000 seaters. Really, 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 almost impossibly hard. But that's because there are, 20 of those tours going on a nationwide basis. So there's only 20 slots, and there might be 100 acts that are worthy of playing that slot. So, yes, consider yourselves very fortunate that you found this gentleman and you're working well together, and stuff is happening.
He's awesome. Really
how many
grateful.
hours a week would you say that you work other than loading in, loading out, and playing a gig? How many hours a week are you actually
on the band?
Yeah.
Well, now that we have an agent, it's been great because I could put all the hours I was spending booking into writing music, and that's been my biggest thing lately. I've been writing a lot. I just went through a breakup, and it's been a really great creative season, and I'm constantly working on it. I'm always writing. It's awesome. It doesn't feel like work. It's just what I love to do. And we're collaborating more, and that has been a lot of where our time has gone lately regarding band stuff.
Yeah.
It's about to get here though, because we're about to announce that tour, and I'm about to be, a social media lady again, and start promoting it, and because I'm still managing it. Sky's booking it, but I'm responsible for promoting it.
Right. Yeah, what you got to do, or you won't have Sky acting as your agent 6 months from now if you don't.
Of course.
Got to hold up your end of the
Absolutely.
bargain. I get it. Somebody in the chat room said, "Do you break up with guys a lot to get song ideas?"
No.
We won't go into your personal life. All right. So, have you seen more results from social media or the videos that you've put on YouTube? Whoops, let me get rid of that email. Can you attribute any one thing to like, wow, that's really working out best?
I'm sorry. I don't think would you mind
Rephrasing that? All right.
Yeah.
Your videos are really good, and it sounds like you're working social media. Have you found that one thing or the other, have the videos on YouTube been as impactful, let's say, as Facebook or Insta for you guys?
I think that's an interesting question, because I think at live shows you can see like the impact you're having on people right in front of you. It's instant. They come up after you after there is engagement. You make a friend, you make a fan, it's an instant thing. And I think social media a lot of times feels like you're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks, and like you don't see that it's sticking, but you just keep on doing it. And then before you know it, your audience is doubled, tripled, and they're singing the words, and you don't know these people. They just saw you online. And so I think, like, I don't know if this answers your question, but I didn't know that social media was working until I saw that. And I think that's pretty cool. I think Instagram is probably our biggest platform. Instagram and Facebook. I have them linked so that one post goes on both.
Right. Do you guys collect email addresses?
You know what? We don't. And I know we should. I know that that's like a big thing. We should.
It is. It's my experience as the person running Taxi for 32 years is that our email list is by far our biggest revenue generator. We once ran a special. I'm giving out company secrets here, but this isn't that secretive. But we did a discounted thing, and we ran it. We bought ads and ran it on, I think we bought ads on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. And anyway, we did the same promotion on Instagram, probably Twitter, and Facebook, and then sent out an email to our email list, which is everybody on the list asked to be on the list. They want to see our listings every day. And we generated thousands of dollars from the emails and generated $0 from the social media. So I encourage you, start building. You want somebody at every one of your shows collecting email addresses. Come up with some sort of contest, like spend a weekend on the road with the band.
Interesting.
Yeah, go in the studio for when we record our next song, something like that. Print up.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, print up a couple dozen T-shirts and see, if you give your email address, you go into a hat and we pick 2 T-shirt winners tonight at the end of the show. Stuff like that. Build your mailing list. I cannot tell you how much money you're missing out on by not doing that. So there you go. Free marketing advice. Looking for more apropos questions. You're welcome. I've got that covered. Cool. I'm going to open it up to viewer questions now, and I will see them in the chat and then filter them to you guys, because I've seen some people in the chat room that normally aren't in the chat room, and I think because the topic is different than what we normally cover, that they're going to be asking some questions. So you guys, if you have a question, please type question, the word question, in all caps. And let me know if you have something specifically for Maddie or something for Angelo, or for both or either. And let's see what you want to know. And while they are typing out their questions, Nope, that's not a question. What's the funniest thing? What's like the funniest road story you've got?
Okay, we have a lot.
Okay.
I have one off the top of my head. So the bus stopped working. It was the first breakdown. We were on our way to a gig, and I'm like, oh no. We were like, no, on the side of the road. And, that's part of it, but it sucks when it's happening. And Angelo, we took it to an auto parts. We got it to an auto parts. It literally broke down in the parking lot.
Nice.
Of an auto
that was
parts.
Convenient.
And Angelo got the code red, and it was what was it? A coil, engine coil?
Ignition coil.
Ignition coil. Well, he takes the seat out, opens up the part to, sorry, I can't talk. Finds a rat's nest.
She knows all the technical jargon.
But the main point here, he finds a rat's nest.
Under your hood?
In there. Just bought this bus, and there was a stowaway, a rodent, traveling with us. Because that's why, it ate it or something.
So O'Reilly, the guys there, they brought us out a little vacuum cleaner, and we just stuck it in the engine and gobbled up all the polyfill stuff they were using, whatever it was, I don't know, and switched out the coil. Good as new.
And we got to the gig.
Yeah.
Wow.
On time.
Funny you bring up rats. I was parked in my driveway coming home from work Wednesday night of last week, talking to a longtime taxi member who's become a friend over 30 years. And while I'm sitting there staring at the front of our house, I noticed a couple of rats coming down a cable wire that are coming from the roof down to the ground. And they were climbing down face first and doing it like they own the place. And I thought, I need to kill those rats. I do not like rats. They don't have bushy tails like squirrels, so rats got to go. I mean, I did need to, I wasn't feeling murderous, but I felt like they needed to be moved to another neighborhood, and heaven seemed like the right neighborhood for them to go to. So anyway, went out and bought some rat traps, put them out in front of the house right where the cable drops down to the ground. And I watched on my Ring doorbell cam this morning, both traps were turned over with no rats in them. And I watched an entire family of 10 rats walked up. One of them tripped the trap, and the rest of them ate the peanut butter off the trap, and then they waved goodbye and said thank you, and they split. So no rats were harmed in the making of that video. There you go. For you animal lovers out there, I tried to kill those rats, but I failed. So somebody's telling me something. All right, so we've got some questions I want to cover here. Indré wants to know, which software do you use for your videos when you're doing your DIY videos? What do you shoot? What do you edit on?
So, oh man, let me try to remember the camera we had.
It was Pete's camera.
Yeah, it was, but that doesn't help. It doesn't help him, at least. It's a Canon 7 EOS or something like that.
Yeah, an EOS.
I don't know. Yeah, and that's what we shot on. He gave us some lenses. We had a wide lens. It was very if you're used to using smartphones for shooting and stuff, and you get the autofocus and your phone takes care of all of the little details and preferences and stuff, that's advanced technology, and
right.
It's all done for you. But I as cameraman and director was kind of not experienced in trying to learn what the best settings were for exposure and frame rate and temperature balance and stuff like that. And,
actual photography.
There's definitely room for improvement on the cameraman part of our DIY shoots, and there's room for improvement on our editing too. Now,
what do you edit on?
Do anything? Clipchamp, which is maybe laughable a little bit. Microsoft supplies that software for free to anybody who's got Windows, and I just we we never had any high editing requirements for anything that we've done DIY, so it's just a matter of stitching clips together, and Clipchamp's enough to do that. And the interface is easy to work with. It's very it's like a low power, just the essentials, you know?
Yeah. Well, it certainly works. Maddie, can you please tell our viewers, describe your pitches to venues? What do you put in those emails?
Oh yeah, sure. So I try to find out, you know, the name of the person who's booking, but it's not always available. So sometimes I just say hello, or I'll say, hello, Michael, you know,
Yeah.
and I'll say, my name is Maddie. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, you might find this interesting. This is a big learning curve for me. Okay, at first when I booked shows, I would say, my name's Maddie. I'm a singer in a band. We're in a band. Can you let us play? And I found that I didn't say it just like that, but you know what I mean. And I found that if I said, my name's Maddie, I represent Indre. They are a pop rock band from acting like I have nothing to do with the band and I'm representing them and I'm not in the band. You know what I mean? People took me more seriously. It's so, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, if I said I was in the band, I had a lot less success than if I said I represented the band. So I don't really think it's lying. I represent
No, it's
the
not.
band.
You are representing the band. You're doing the work. I think that's legit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
But,
a
so,
little
like, I
bit
did
of
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did that. I just think I represent the band. They are going to be in town. We're looking at either Thursday, blah, 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 or Friday, blah, blah, blah. And I would say, I would say if they had if we had history in the market where we played, check us out right here. I kept it pretty short and sweet.
Yeah, always link back to the socials and maybe a recent video or something.
I put our link tree in there. The link tree has social media, videos.
And are you able to check your link tree to see which videos they click on most often?
Yes, the analytics are on there.
And which link have you found to be kind of the common thread that most frequently gets clicked by the venues?
A lot of our music videos get clicked. The website has quite a few clicks too. The website link is on there as well. They all get quite a few. I would say the videos get like the best engagement. It doesn't tell me if the venues are, though. It just says the numbers of how many clicks it has had.
Right. Yeah, you might want to set up a separate link tree that only goes out to venues so that you can track those specifically and separately from fan engagement. And that way you'll be able to see which of, God, I feel like I'm on stage at the Road Rally. Can't stop teaching. But by doing that, you'll be able to see which videos they click most often. And my theory is, because I've seen this when I reach out to companies for business-to-business stuff with Taxi, when you get attention from that first person, they will then reach out to other people in their company. So the booker at the club might reach out to a bartender or somebody else at the club and go, hey, I really like this band. What do you guys think? So you'll see multiple clicks from the same entity or on the same day or the same time. And that tells you that they're deeply engaged versus curiously engaged.
Yeah.
So for the different types of gigs, now you're doing some stuff where you're doing originals and then others where you're doing pub gigs. Do you have video content that is more pub gig friendly, that you send links specifically to that, or do you send just here's the link tree to everybody? Do they get the same stuff?
Well, truthfully, we haven't been a cover band in a long time. So we do play pub gigs, but when we play those pub gigs, I still market us as an original band.
Oh, good.
And I say that I say that we have covers in our sets, like well-known pop rock covers. I said, but we also play our original music, and I don't usually have any problems getting those gigs. Like, they don't care that we're not a cover band.
Great. What percentage on those pub gigs, what percentage of songs that you play are covers versus originals?
Well, I'd say we're going on almost 2 hours of original material now with the new
Wow.
stuff that's not released. hmm We have a bunch of new stuff that's not out yet. I'm so excited. But we usually play an hour, hour and 15 of covers, depending on the length of the set. If it's a 2 hour set, it's really original heavy, and we might do 5 to 8 covers in there. Um, but if it's like a 3 hour set, usually an hour of covers just sprinkled in through the original music.
Somebody asked, where do you record? Do you record at home or do you record in a pro studio? Tell us about your process.
So the last batch of songs we recorded at this place called Sand Records. It's right here in Akron, Ohio. Kirk Baglia owns it. He has been our recording engineer. He's also mixed our music. He's great. That's where we've been recording.
Yeah. I'm excited for the upcoming batch of songs too, and the demos that we're going to be making, because I do want to learn a little bit more about producing. I mean, I'm definitely nowhere near as professional as places that we've been with before, but it does seem like a fun area to explore.
We're going to be doing our demos in-house here, and then we'll go to a studio to get like drums and vocals, but we can track a lot of stuff remotely, actually.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What a world we live in. All right, I'm looking to
Yeah.
see if I've got any questions that I've missed. Anybody else has any questions? Be great to hear from you. Ooh, Jimmy Carvalho's in the house. Hey, Jimmy, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Here's a question oh, yeah. Songs from a Headband says, question. It was fun seeing you and your brother at the Taxi Road Rally. Maddie, you were great at the Steven Memel's class. What did you learn from that class?
From which class? I'm sorry.
Steven Memel, the performance coach guy.
Oh man, that was so cool. Oh man, it was just cool to listen to him, and like it was really funny because he had me get up and sing, and he talked a lot about one thing I thought was really interesting that he said was that when you start performing your songs, even though you wrote your songs, the meaning of your songs kind of goes away. And like, you're not to say like I'm in every performance, like I'm present in every performance, but he said that if you reread your lyrics and like remind yourself of what it means before you go sing it, that your performance just will have so much more depth. And like, I sang a song and he's like, what line did you just sing? He's like, say it to me. And I had to like think. I couldn't even say the line because I'm so used to just singing the line.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Like, most people can't say the Star Spangled Banner, but they can sing it no problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the
Muscle
same thing.
memory.
Mm-hmm. And it was just like, I'm going to totally reread all of my lyrics before we go out on the road again.
That's great. Yeah, Memel's a great teacher. Years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when I was just getting to know Steven, I had him do a thing on the main stage in the Grand Ballroom at the rally, and he had asked me to pick somebody. So there's a really good indie folk duo, a husband and wife, and Mike and Ruthie were their names. They still are their names, I'm pretty sure. And they got up there. Their songs were great. Their sound was great. Everything about them was great. But they were shoegazers. They got up there and just strummed their acoustic guitars and played their fiddle and kind of just delivered the song, but it was pretty blasé. And he said, okay, put your instruments down, and I want you to do this on stage. So he had them wagging their arms and shaking their legs and literally walking around like imitating chickens in front of 1,000 people in that ballroom. And frankly, I was a little embarrassed for them, and I thought, geez, Memel, I don't know, man. You might have just like ruined their entire career. And he said, okay, now that you've done that, go pick up your instruments and do the same song again. And everybody in the ballroom was just absolutely amazed at this 3-minute transition, how these people had really good songs, really good sound, great singers, great players, but kind of boring. And all of a sudden they were an act, literally like in an instant. So the funny thing was, the road rally ended on a Sunday night. My staff and I are obviously exhausted. You talked about it's like getting married all the time, coordinating a video shoot. Well, the road rally is, 100 different speakers, and it takes an intense amount of coordination. Afterwards, we're all just exhausted, and the last thing we want to do is anything related to taxi or music for a few days or weeks. And we went to see Mike and Ruthie play the 24 hours after the road rally ended. We went to see them play a gig, and it was magical. I could not believe what an impact Steven Memel had on them. So I'm glad that you guys went to that class. You should look for his videos online and watch them. There are a lot of people out there that claim to teach performance stuff, and I say, what are their credentials? But Memel's got great credentials, and I've seen him work the magic. So there you go. Let's see, we've got some more questions that came in. Who are your musical influences?
Angelo and I are different. We are different.
Yes.
But we both grew up listening to rock music because of our parents. And that has always been my favorite. Like, I really love it. I love the classics. And then I love a lot of newer stuff too. And to be specific, I guess, of course I love, like, Led Zeppelin. You mentioned the Eagles. I love the Eagles. The harmonies, the songwriting.
Amazing.
I've seen them a couple times. That was those. Oh my gosh. And then I like Paramore, of course. Alanis Morissette. If you want to talk about something a little bit modern. Trying to think. I love rock music. I love pop music too. Talking Heads. I love Talking Heads. I really like Miley Cyrus's new album's so good. I could go on and on. I listen to a lot of different music. Angelo, your turn.
Yeah.
I just talked to.
So I think that the majority of music I digest is very, very much of the same genre as the music that we produce.
Okay.
But and that's okay, and it still definitely does shine through, and I do feel like I'm influenced it in the way that I want to make music and write. And I guess I listen to lots of like alternative rap and R&B and stuff, and some of my favorite artists and some of my idols are like Tyler the Creator and Mac Miller and other artists in that vein. I really enjoy them and what they do as artists.
Interesting. Yeah, not a lot of crossover for you guys, even though you grew up in the same house, same parents, and the same stuff being played. It's funny, I've got a 23-year-old daughter and a 27-year-old daughter. And the 27-year-old at one point was a very serious singer-songwriter and starting to co-write with like people that are signed to big publishing deals. Wanted nothing to do with me. She actually changed her last name so nobody in the industry would know she was related to me, because she wanted to prove she could do it on her own. And she and I used to sit in our driveway and listen to CDs of classic bands, whether it was a lot of stuff that I worked on, like Clapton or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Beatles, which I didn't work on, but I would have loved to. And she really absorbed that stuff. And her sisters, only 3.5 years younger, grew up in the same household. They have like very, very, very different musical tastes. So that doesn't surprise me that you guys are so different. Ewart Williams wants to know from you, Maddie, who do you get told that you resemble?
Resemble?
Looks-wise, yeah. And I want to pre-qualify that because I've been, watching their videos and looking at their social media and stuff. Maddie doesn't always look the same. She's a bit of a chameleon. Like how she looks today is not necessarily how she looked 3 hours ago or a week ago. Is that a fair assessment?
my hair was purple at Road Rally.
Right.
It was purplish, and now it's blonde. And naturally, I'm a brunette. I don't know, like, who do you? I don't know.
The first thing that came to mind when you asked that question is actually who she resembles vocally, and
I'm sorry, I thought.
Oh, maybe
I
he
think
meant that. I don't know. Maybe I read it wrong.
I'll give another take. Maddie mentioned earlier that we do Dreams by the Cranberries, and so many times I've heard comments from people in the audience that they thought that she sounded like, forgive me, I can't remember her name. Dolores. And then, like, as soon as they think, she sounds like Dolores, suddenly we break into Dreams, and they're like thinking that we.
That's a pretty cool compliment.
Yeah.
I don't know if I look like anyone. I don't really get told that I look like anyone.
She's like Zooey Deschanel.
Not right now. I got blonde hair.
Right. Blonde Zoe. Okay, Songs from a Headband commented, Maddie, in that class with Memel, it was super funny. When Memel asked you a question, you started by saying honestly, and Memel immediately said, no, lie to me. That's my friend Steve.
I had a unique experience getting to watch him work with her, just being her brother. And I mentioned earlier, we've got a sort of telepathic sense of humor, so I could pick up on kind of all kinds of funny moments up there,
Well, we get into this thing where I can't even look at him because I'll laugh so hard, and it'll just be this nonstop thing.
We can just read each other's faces so well.
He was up there like moving my head around as I'm singing, and Angelo's just like, and I was like, I can't look at Angelo right now.
How close are you guys in age?
We're like 2 years apart.
And who's older?
I'm older. I'm 24. Okay. He's 22.
Wow. Young people. All right. So let's talk about, first of all, tell everybody what your website is and where they can find your link tree and your socials, all that good stuff.
So we are, our website is www.indremusic.com. So INDRE is our band name, music.com. And Indre we're on all the social media, like Instagram, it's Indre Music as well. TikTok and Facebook is Indre Band. Okay. So if you look up Indre, it pops up. But we're on everything.
Great. I'll have Liz post some of that stuff in the chat as well, so that people that watch the video a week from now or a month from now can also do it. And when does the next tour start?
March 8th. It runs March 8th through May 5th.
Can you rattle off some of the cities you'll be in? Because I encourage Taxi members to go see them live. They're fairly sedate. I mean, I've seen you in videos where you're like jumping 2 feet off the stage and pretty rock and roll. So,
first of all, I feel like I'm going to go nuts this winter, not being able to perform until March. That I can't even, like, I know that it's a creative season, but I'm just so excited to do it again. We're going to be starting here in Akron, then we hit Columbus, then we're going to be going down into like Blacksburg. We're going to hit Blacksburg, some Carolina towns that we've been in, like Winston-Salem, Raleigh, and then we're going to hit Memphis, Nashville. I think I may have messed up the order there, I don't know, but we're going to make our way down into Texas, and that's when we link up with the Happies. That's when we start touring with them. They haven't given us like the specific venues and dates yet. They are like within the next couple of weeks or so, but we're gonna end up announcing it by the end of the year. But I know that we're hitting like all the college towns in Texas. Like we're spending like a week and a half in Texas, and then Arizona, we're there for like 4 days, 5 days, playing like 4 or 5 shows there, college towns, and then we hit California, and we're gonna be going like just all through. I think we're spending like a good 2 weeks in California. Gonna be in LA, gonna be in San Diego, gonna be in some other towns, and then we're gonna go up north. Like we're gonna play Berkeley, gonna play San Francisco. We're gonna play just really all over, bouncing all over college towns, big cities there. And then we get into the Pacific Northwest, where we're going to be doing some Oregon shows, a couple of shows in Washington. And then we break off from the Happies. Then we're on our own again for 2 weeks. And we're going to be playing through Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota. I got to look. And then we get into like, he has us like in Minneapolis, and then Madison, Wisconsin. I think we're playing Milwaukee too. Totally messing up the order. I need a map.
That's okay.
Back down into.
I hope that the people watching the show, whether they're with us live today or see it in the future, keep tabs on the tour and go support you guys when you are in their towns. And I promise you that if I'm in Los Angeles, when you're in Los Angeles, I will come out and see you, and I'll bring the staff with me. And you guys just keep up the hard work. I'm inspired by the fact that you're not afraid of doing the work. So many people want to live the dream, and they think that all I have to do is write pretty songs and make great music, and everything else will fall into place because my music is so good that everybody will gravitate toward me and my music. And you're actually doing the heavy lifting. And that's the difference with my 50 years of experience. People who make it in this industry and people who let the dream die because they don't do the work. So congratulations to you both. I think it's pretty awesome. And please do keep us apprised of your progress. Stay in touch. And Peter Rahill wants to know, where do you post your itinerary? I'm sure it'll be on their website, Peter.
Everywhere. It'll be website, Instagram, everywhere.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do the show today. It was a pleasure to have you both. Find my buttons here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you are so welcome. I want to be able to say, I saw it, I knew it, and there they are, like 2 years from now. When you guys, I love the video where you talk, or an interview where you talked about the first time you heard one of your songs on the radio. And I know that feeling. First full album I ever got to work on, I heard it on the radio with my parents in the car when I was like 20 years old. And I'm like wiping tears from my eyes, and they're looking at me like, what the hell's your problem? But it's a pretty magical moment. So I hope you guys have a lot of those in front of you. Thank you so much for being on the show, and want to let you guys in the viewing audience know that next week's show, where did I write that? We're going to do a You're in the A&R Hot Seat, where you guys are picking the winners and the non-winners, and we will see you then for another exciting episode of TAXITV Live. Bye-bye, you guys.